Hey guys, Kiko here for another video about music theory. I know you might be thinking this is too boring, this is too complex, or music theory will block my creativity. But actually, if you learn how to learn music theory, like learning and applying, understanding and applying, music theory is really helpful and you become a better improviser, better composer, better musician, better creator if you know the fundamental things from music. So here we go. I did a video here talking about the octaves, like 14 minutes video about the octave, because I believe one of the most important things in music theory is are the intervals, right? Learning the intervals, and then instead of learning 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, the intervals like that, you should learn following the harmonic series, which is the way music happens in nature, right? That's physics, It doesn't matter the style of music you like, it doesn't matter the instrument you play, it's always the same. It's like gravity, right? So the first harmonic is the octave, the second harmonic is the fifth, and I can prove to you. So if you get a string, and then you divide the string in two, right? Here you have the first harmonic, the octave, right? So you have a B, you have the octave of that B. If you get a string and divide in two parts, right? So 2/3, like you have this and this, right? So you have 3 parts here. So you have the fifth. Right, and a way to prove this is like if you play a single string and you touch the B, you will feel the B is vibrating. If you touch the E string, the first string is vibrating as well. If you touch the D string, it's not vibrating. The G is not vibrating. The A is vibrating a bit because the E is the fifth of the A, right? So those relations of fifths, right? The fifth of a note, right? Very important. Everything is very important because that's the way it happens in nature, and then it's a fundamental thing in music in general, for harmony, for melody, for changing keys and all that, and creating the scales we know. So after you verified if everything is vibrating in a natural way, all good. If it's not, it's because your guitar sucks or your strings are too old and then harmonics are not working properly anymore. But check this out. So if you play an E note, inside this E you have a B. So if I play the B, I'm reinforcing that E, and that creates this very powerful thing, the power chord, but creates this very powerful combination, 1-5. Right, the tonic, the root, and the fifth. And you might think like, okay, so if you play a E and inside the E you have B, and you play the B, inside the B has a fifth, and then you keep going like this. Actually, it's a circle. Imagine if you keep doing this, because if you play E and inside the E has a B, but if you play B, inside the B has a fifth, that has a fifth, that has a fifth, and keeps going. Right? So let me play for you so you can apply right away, because just saying doesn't mean much, right? So I will, instead of playing the E, the open strings, I will start from the F because it's easier. You'll see why. So the fifth, the power chord, that's the fifth. And another thing, as I said, every time you try to you learn something new, try to apply right away, understand the theory. So that's the second harmonic. Check the technique you will use to play that. I'm using here is easy because I'm not playing anything fast, so I'm using the alternate picking. And then the perception, so I'm trying to play and listen the fifth, the sound of the fifth, so I can, get familiar with that sound. It's very close to the octave, it's very consonant, right? And also the intervals, like the shapes, right? So here is the fifth. So this shape here, and then if you go to the third and second strings, that's the shape of a fifth. And here, power chord, but also you can play like this. Right? You have that relation you have here. Understand this, you know, the shapes. That's a fifth. Here's a fifth, or you have a fifth like this, you know, a fifth here, you know. So, and then you just play, and then you start getting used to the sound. So the perception, the shapes, the theory, and of course the technique you use to apply, you know, to play those intervals. So here we go. F, the fifth of the F is C, the fifth of the C is G, the fifth of the G is D, A, E, B. So the guitar can do one note, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seven, right? And then after the B, you have F sharp, which is like half step up, right? So we started in F, and then I played 7 notes, and then 7 notes. What? 7 notes. And then I keep going. F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, D sharp, A sharp, E sharp, or back to F. So actually, we're back to F. So we did like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? Back to B here, because you don't have, it's not a piano. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, right here. 12. And then after A sharp or B flat, you're back to F. 12. If you reorganize this, you have the 12 notes that we know. So that's the way music was organized, you know, because of the cycle fifths, you know, the circle fifths, right? So you get, because of the harmonic series, the second harmonic, that is a different note from the, you know, the first harmonic is the octave, it's the same note. So you don't go anywhere. But the second harmonic is a fifth. So now we'll build a sequence of fifths, a circle of fifths. And then it happens that after 12 notes, you're back, right? And then if you play the first 7, you have the scale, the Lydian scale. So when you play 7 notes, you have the Lydian scale, very open, right? Because it's those fifths, right? If you play only the first 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you have the major pentatonic. And that's why pentatonic is not a blues scale. Pentatonic is a universal scale. You will find pentatonic everywhere in every culture because it's the first 5 notes of the circle fifth, you know? So right, so that's the first 5 notes of the circle fifths. If you have 7, you have the Lydian scale, very open. That's why you see the Lydian mode being used for, you know, movies and openings and happy music. You know, it brings this clear sky kind of vibe. And if you do it 12, you have all the 12 notes that we use. That's why a piano is such a great instrument, because you can have all those, the circle fifths, you know, in the guitar you don't have it, you know. You have to go back to octaves and to prove the point, right? You have to go back, as I did, you know, when you finish here, you have to go back here. Like this, you know where those 12 notes came from, the pentatonic and the Lydian mode. And we could continue talking about, all right, so what about the major scale? So imagine if you do like only the first 5 notes of the circle fifths, right? And then you add the tritone, which the tritone is another very important fundamental thing in music, the tritone. So basically the major scale is the pentatonic with a tritone. And the tritone creates this friction that it has to be resolved. And then it creates movement. When you have a friction, a tension, and then a resolution, and then tension and resolution, that keeps a song interesting and music, interesting. And you go try to understand the modes. All the characteristic notes of the modes are the tritone. And then everything is like somehow correlated, But I believe that is a great way to understand music, like the 12 notes, the scale, the pentatonic, and from there you can also start studying the intervals like linearly, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's good. Why not? So you see in different perspectives. You can also learn like if you have like a chord, you have the tonic, and you have the fifth. In between the tonic and the fifth, you have the third, because it's the next harmonic after the fifth is another octave. And then the next one is a third. So yes, inside a E you have a G sharp. So it's like when you play an E note, it's like you have an E major right there inside, like, somehow, So I have like tonic and fifth as the two pillars, and then the third in between. And then you discover that you have like distances of thirds, and our music is really connected with those relations of fifths and thirds, right? So tonic, a third of the third is the fifth, a third of the fifth is the seventh, so which is going to be like hundreds of years later, and then you start having music with major seventh, and right? And then the third of the seventh is the ninth, which is the fifth of the fifth, right? So it started like, maybe it's getting too complicated, but you can see like music in relations of fifths, you can see in relations of thirds, and so everything start making sense somehow, and then you start making music with that. And then you can apply, if you get like a fugue from Bach, you see like he composed like a fugue using C major, and at some point he opens up and go to the fifth. He goes to the G major, right? C, D, E, F, G. But then he might be going counterclockwise, and then goes to the fourth, which is like when C is the fifth of F. So he's playing C, then he can go to the fifth, which feels like opens up, or he can go to F. And you can use this in metal as well, like the song Dystopia is in D minor, so the whole intro, the whole verse, and then when chorus comes, he goes to the fifth, he goes to A minor, so D minor, D, E, F, G, A, he goes to the fifth. So the entire song is D minor, chorus, just to open up, to be brighter, to be a chorus, he goes to the fifth. And before going to the fifth, you can always play a fifth of the fifth to create this, which we call the dominant. You create, you play. So you're playing like a E dominant to A minor. So you kind of create a fifth of this fifth that we're going to, And you can always go anywhere if you play a fifth before that, because it creates this tension, and you can go any place. That we call the, secondary dominants, and you have names for that. But so in metal, like D minor, chorus, goes to the fifth, it's like a transposition, and before going to the fifth, you play the fifth of this new key. I hope it's not complicated, but you see, you see this in Baroque music, in jazz, of course, in metal, right? So I hope this was not very complicated, but I hope this was helpful for you. Leave some comments, leave some questions, subscribe to the channel, and let me know if you like this kind of things, because I can do more videos for you. Cheers, see you in the next video.